Live from San Francisco on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network. You are listening to Wrestling Observer Live with your hosts, Brian Alvarez and Mike Sempervive.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's get it on.
Damn right, let's get it on. Mike Sempervive here with you. It is the original Wrestling Observer Live, the Mothership Edition. Yes, sir. And if you hear me start, that means odds are Boss Man's not here. Why? Because he's not. He's in the LBC. And I have a feeling that that location is going to be what's on a lot of your minds today. And I want to hear from all of you, old callers, new callers. Come on. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. Or if you're on Skype, you can chime in by dialing Sports Byline 2. That's Sports Byline in the number 2. On Twitter, we're always here as well. I'm at Sempervive. Brian is at Brian Alvarez. Sports Byline is at Sports Byline USA. And the mighty Wrestling Observer Figure 4 website is at WONF4W. It is your home for all of the news and information in the world of the mixed martials. And I guess you guys can prove me wrong, but I have a feeling that tonight's New Japan show at the Walter Pyramid in Long Beach, California, is going to be the topic du jour. And I'll give you some of the happenings on what's gone on this weekend. The big show tonight on Access TV. You heard me correctly. Access TV. This is not on New Japan World. In North America, at least, it's not. And if you're listening to this show, you're probably in North America. It's not on there. It's on Access. So that may trip some people up. I believe that the replay will be up on New Japan World as soon as possible. But if you're going to try to tune in live Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, you got to make sure that you got access. So I have a feeling that's going to be the biggest thing in everything that they've done this weekend. They've done a lot of media all over the place. New Japan has. They've opened up the dojo and announced that Shibata, who was over there, is going to be the main man, and talk to you about that. I'm sure you got thoughts on Daniel Bryan still. PWG ran last night, and they have a new heavyweight champion, which may be a surprise to some people. We got more inductors official for the Hall of Fame, a bunch of stuff going on, and we talk about it with you. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. We'll get this thing started when we get back. Wrestling Observer Live.
You are listening to Wrestling Observer Live with Brian Alvarez and Mike Sempervive on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network.
All right, back on the show. Mike Sempervive here with you. New Japan Pro Wrestling tonight, Sunday night, Access TV, Long Beach, California, Walter Pyramid. This is a good weekend if you're a Japanese wrestling fan. Really good weekend. All Japan Pro Wrestling debuted their new streaming service. Got Kid and Play still kicking it in the background. Rolling with Kid and Play. It's a house party. By the way, they're bringing House Party. Did I hear that right? Kyrie Irving, I think, is bringing House Party back. I think. But I'm pretty sure that's the case. Though that's going to be a topic for another day. Also on a day that Brian Alvarez is not here. Brian not here today because he's in Long Beach. But as I was saying, All Japan Pro Wrestling debuted their streaming service last night. Basically a test run to get themselves set up for the Champions Carnival, their big major event, which takes place throughout late March and into April, if I'm not mistaken. But they debuted their service. Also last night, or early this morning, I should say, Sunday morning, DDT ran a show free for people, their Judgment show, which was rather newsworthy as well. So if you're a fan of the Japanese wrestling scene, this has been a pretty good weekend for you, and that stuff is a nice lead up to New Japan's Invasion with the Strong Style Evolved show. So we're going to be talking about that, I'm sure, a lot today. So we might as well take it to the phones, and it is Sunday, so you know what that means. Ryan in Cumberland, Maryland, how are you?
Good. My question for you today revolves around Randy Orton and Kevin Owens' chin lock. Recently found out that Randy Orton's a heavy smoker. So do you know of any wrestlers that are heavy smokers besides Randy Orton that use like a lot of rest holds during their matches? Because my theory is that maybe Randy Orton gets a little bit tired from smoking too much, and he has to resort to the chin lock during long matches.
A lot of people say that there's a spiritual bond to him, to Harley Race, and to other people that have gone through where he was born out there in Missouri. Harley Race was a smoker and a relatively heavy smoker, and I don't know how much Randy Orton smokes. I don't think that's got anything to do with his style of wrestling. I wouldn't think, at least. I mean, works a slower style. The chin lock has always been incorporated as part of his game. Whether it's been now or whether it was 10 years ago, I'm sure that he might be slowing up a little bit, but I don't think that's got anything to do with why he lays the chin lock in there. Now, you brought up Kevin Owens' name as well, too. Do you believe Kevin Owens is a heavy smoker?
I don't know if he's a heavy smoker, but maybe it's because of the excess weight, maybe of overeating, and he gets gassed out a little bit from maybe too many calories.
How do you know that's actual muscle? You're just seeing it as maybe some excess cushioning there. Maybe Kevin Owens is in fantastic shape.
Well,
he is in fantastic shape.
Say like Mr. Perfect used to be able to do like a perfect flex on the Big Show, and I'm not seeing any supernatural feats of strength from Mr. Owens like I do from some other wrestlers.
Ryan, I want to thank you very much for the call. I think. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. That is one thing that that was a surprise to me, and I don't know why it was a surprise to me to find out when I first started to get smartened up about wrestling, where how many people smoked and how many people back in the day smoked. And it's like, man, these guys are in shape, and a lot of guys who were bodybuilders and stuff like that. And it's like, you're on the road for that much in that amount of time. It's one of the ways, hey, you pass things by. It's not like everybody did it or something like that, but I am sure the numbers on the amount of people that smoke, at least cigarettes, that is probably way, way down. I'm going to take it to the phones again, too, 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. Paul in Barboursville. Paul, how are you this afternoon?
Oh, all right. I'm kicking back, gearing up to watch the big New Japan show tonight, and I'm watching a little bit of college basketball, though my bracket has been screwed up in every possible way. But I was wondering about New Japan. What do you think is, for the American expansion, what do you think, after tonight's show, the next step is? Do you think they should go back to, the Los Angeles area, maybe try a bigger building like the Staples Center? Or do you think they should go for another wrestling hotbed like Chicago or Philadelphia or New York?
That's a good question. The comfort level is obviously going to be out in California, and I could see them coming back and running there again to back up the dojo once that is up and running. And you're able to cut costs a little bit by maybe establishing something there and using guys like, Kurt Stallion being a good example. He was, pictured with Shibata, being able to use him as opposed to somebody coming over or something like that. I could see them coming back and running L.A. again, and they probably should, and just do it in a little bit of a larger size building. I don't think the Staples Center is a good idea, but I think if they have a sub arena, maybe at the Staples Center, or there's another building around there that's just frankly bigger than the Walter Pyramid, that's the direction they should go. They have come in conjunction in the past to New Jersey and New York and Toronto, and those places would all be, great choices, obviously, as well as Chicago because of how, big of a hotbed Chicago is. But I just think, maybe coming back to L.A. is probably going to be the smartest thing to do. Although if they could pull off work, doing 4 shows or something like that in a relatively, quote-unquote, short amount of time, that, those would be the obvious choices. And as long as it's worth their money, it should be something that they do. Well said, Paul.
Personally, I'd like them to come to the Charleston Civic Center so I could go there and get back home in a decent hour, but I realize that's probably going to be off the table.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and think I don't think they're running the Charleston what is the major building out there?
That would be the Charleston Civic Center, followed by the Big Sandy Arena. Now, is the Charleston Civic Center still the original one that like Mid-Atlantic and Georgia would run out back in the day? Oh yes, and a few years ago, Ring of Honor did a TV taping there, but it wasn't actually in the main arena. section. It was like a ballroom in the back of the Civic Center.
Hey, it doesn't matter. You can still say you ran it. You know what I mean?
Yes, you can.
Well, Paul, I want to thank you very much for the call. Keep it moving here because we got a bunch of people on the line. If you want to join me, you're more than welcome to. You can also get a hold of me on Twitter as well, at SemperVivi. Brian Alvarez is at Brian Alvarez. That's Brian with a Y. Sports Byline, at Sports Byline USA. Going to go now to John in Arkansas. John, how are you? John stumbling in here?
Yes, John is stumbling in.
What's happening?
I'm just excited to see tonight's show. I finally have a way to actually see some New Japan, thanks to my aunt and uncle, who are kind enough to let me bum off their satellite provider, since my illustrious cable provider does not provide the channel.
You're in the majority, my friend.
I'm excited to see Jay White and Adam Page. This is kind of going to be a big thing for them, proving ground to really showcase what they can do. And a lot of people were skeptical on Jay White, to run with the championship, but I happen to like the guy a great deal, and I see nothing but upside to him.
Yeah, Jay, well, look, and you're not the only one. Obviously, New Japan does too. Jay White and Adam Page are two people that, in different places, some people may sneer at a little bit and not understand why New Japan likes them so much, but they are cornerstones, what looks like right now, or at least they're puzzle pieces for their future. And you gotta, look, I'm not thrilled with the way that Jay White debuted too. There is a level of I don't want to say, corniness isn't the look. I'm not all in yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm not hanging with Cody and Barry the Bear. I'm not all in, but I have a lot of faith in what Gato does. I have a lot of faith in what New Japan has done, and I have seen guys like Goto debut and slip a little bit. I've seen guys like Okada debut and slip a little bit. And Jay White had that. He came out, and I don't even think he necessarily slipped a little bit, but I don't know if the gimmick and how it was presented was up to where people may have had it in their minds. And obviously they were thinking, some people thought it could be some others as well too, but it was always going to seemingly be Jay White. And I don't know if everybody, again, was like me. I'm not sure how many people bought in right away. But we're going to have to see kind of going forward here, because he is very good. And I think the more he is showcased here, especially here in the States, that's going to be huge, because they need English-speaking superstars. And obviously you have Okada and Naito, and there's plenty of other guys he can roll with for a while. And you have Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, sure. But you're still going to need to develop some guys who are quote-unquote your guys, the same way like ROH is trying with Punisher Martinez right now. You're going to have to kind of do the same thing, and Jay White is definitely one of those guys. John, I want to thank you very much for the call. If you want to give a call in, you're more than welcome to. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. A ton of things going on in the wrestling and mixed martial arts world, topped off by New Japan tonight on Access TV. We'll be back. Wrestling Observer Live.
Oh, what the heck?
Back with you, Mike Sempervive here.
No big deal, no sweat.
Wrestling Observer Live, Sports Byline, SB Nation. A lot of people listening in from all over the place. Well, thank you, Alan Duffy. People in the UK listening. Of course you are, because you're getting ready for the New Japan show. Courtney Cummings, the goddess. If you're a grown person, you can follow her on Twitter, @CourtneyCums. Wants to find out about tonight's New Japan show on Access TV. Might be talking about Stormy Daniels. Not going to be talking about Stormy Daniels unless you want me to, Courtney. I think I'll just keep it with the All Japan show. Or the New Japan show. Strong Style Evolved. Main event, Golden Lovers and the Young Bucks. That's going to be awesome. And I don't know. I have not seen the layout of the Walter Pyramid. I can't remember the layout of the Walter Pyramid, at least from the last time. If there's anything that they can jump off of and do backflips off of, it's going to be absolutely insane. It is going to be just completely ridiculous with those four, and it's probably going to be awesome. As John in Arkansas mentioned, too, Jay White and Hangman Page, again, they are two polarizing figures, I think, for their fan bases and their respective companies, but they are two young guys that New Japan is going to, they got to cultivate people. Ring of Honor's got to cultivate people, and that's probably another story for another day. They announced the first blood match between Cody Rhodes, probably they're arguably their biggest star. And has anybody even heard about it? No. In the midst of all this stuff going on with New Japan, but again, that's probably a story for another day. But Jay White and Hangman Page is probably going to be a really good match for the U.S. title. Kazuchika Okada and Tomohiro Ishii against Minoru Suzuki and Zack Sabre Jr. Now, I'm not sure what direction they're going to go. It seemed to me that they were kind of angling towards Minoru Suzuki and Naito coming up, and there's a lot that they got to do, because for American fans and for North American fans, this is a big show. Sakura Genesis on April 1st for Japanese fans, and as far as the meat of this company going forward, that's their show. And there's a lot of matches that still need to be determined for that show. They only have two so far. They have a junior tag title match, and then they have the heavyweight title match between Okada and Sabre. So they got a lot to do. So I'm not sure what direction they're going to go in with Suzuki, and maybe they do Suzuki and Ishii, but it seemed like they were kind of going with the direction of Suzuki and Naito. Either way, it's Okada and Zack Sabre Jr. that's going to get all the attention tonight, and Bryan Alvarez's big concern, if he hasn't been beaten up already by Suzuki Gun there. His big concern tonight is Zack Sabre Jr. is going to tap out Kazuchika Okada. And you know what? He very well may. It's probably going to drive some people nuts. But if you want to build up to that title match, what a better way to do it? Sabre's been tapping everybody else out. Why not the champion? It's going to be interesting. Jushin Thunder Liger against Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay in because Rey Mysterio Jr. unfortunately is out. Going to be, obviously Ospreay when he's in there with guys like Dragon Lee and he's in there with guys like Hiromu Takahashi, Flip Gordon, wrestles a little bit more over the top and does a lot more because keeping up with those guys. I don't think you're going to see that as much, and I think you're probably going to get for some people, a lot more palatable wrestling match out of Will Ospreay tonight with Jushin Thunder Liger. Bunch of other stuff on this card as well, too, that we can get to if you'd like to. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. Go back to the phones right now. Savannah, New Jersey. Savannah, what's going on, man?
How you doing, my friend? How are you today?
I'm making it. What's up?
Do you mind if I question about Daniel Bryan?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Do you think that if we're WWE and you and I were writing for WWE, would you have waited to bring back Daniel Bryan after Mania? Or do you think the story was so big that you couldn't do that and you had to insert him into a Mania card that was already kind of stacked? The Mania card is definitely stacked. I think with all the stuff with John Cena and Undertaker, it's still going to be I think those two are going to put on a great match, and you have Ronda Rousey. I feel like the Daniel Bryan thing is kind of just took away from. It definitely added to the Mania. I mean, it's like icing on the cake. But do you think it took away from the Stephanie McMahon match? And no, let's be honest, that's pretty much all they care about is getting her over. Do you think it took away from the Mania card at all?
Brother man, I want to thank you very much for the call. And I'm going to give you a moment here to get to your radio and turn that back up because the phone sounded like two tin cans strung together there. So unfortunately, let me slide you off there. But they couldn't have waited. There's no way they could have waited. The way the story broke, I mean, they did want to, even if they had the plan to do something for Mania, they didn't want to announce, I don't think, anything right away, but they didn't have a choice. We talked about it. That interview that he did, it looked like a little bit of foreshadowing, and it ended up certainly being that way. They just couldn't sit on that story. They had to let it go, and it looked as though he was going to play a part in that match with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon, no matter what, whether it was to be a special referee, whether it was to do something after the match, and probably from a storyline point of view, I bet you they wanted to wait. They wanted to probably kind of draw that thing out and then have his appearance be a big surprise. I could see that being the case, but you got to kind of deal with what you got dealt. And they took those cards, and they might as well go on with it because, look, as soon as the word got out about Daniel Bryan, why try to stop it? Why try to fight it? Just ride the wave. And we're going to see how they continue to ride the wave. Loosely affiliated with that story, in Trenton, New Jersey, there was a house show that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens snuck into, quote unquote, and invaded and grabbed the microphone and tore it up for a little bit. And what looked, in the very short clip that I saw, really was awesome. I thought they did a great job. Ran their mouths, and Shinsuke Nakamura's music hit. The camera kind of jerks away. You hear the mic drop. They scatter and get out of there. So they did some really good work there. Having those guys change their Twitter, their social media information, I thought that was a nice touch. So I've really liked this feud. I know there's a lot of people who don't. I know there's a lot of people who have McMahon fatigue and get that off of Shane McMahon, but I've been loving this whole thing, and I don't think it's necessarily, I know that they want to get Stephanie over as basically new Vince. She is they've gotten her over as an operations person. They've gotten her over as a businesswoman. And as well, they should. I mean, she's gone out there and done a lot of things and really put herself out there. So this is to remind you that as far as the entertainment aspect of things, too, that she is Mrs. McMahon Helmsley, and she's going to be out there. So I just take it for what it is. I've seen a lot worse, and a lot. The four corners of the McMahons was a hell of a way to shoehorn them all, themselves all in there in that four corners match at WrestleMania in 2000 or whatever it was. This one, there's been far worse. I'll take Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey, no problem, even if it's a lot of this is to put some shine on Stephanie. I don't have any problems with it whatsoever. Going to take it back to the phones right now. Tim in Miami. Tim, what's going on? What's up, Tim?
Hey, Mike. I'm not going to ask you about chin locks or try to guess John from Arkansas's BAC level. But I do have a question about Daniel Bryan. It's different from the one that Vinny Boombots just asked. But what do you think people can realistically expect from the second run from him? The best parallel I can come up with is when Shawn Michaels came back for his second run, and he was never the guy to kind of carry the championship, carry the company, but he had a ton of great matches. He had a great run. I think if Daniel Bryan in this run comes anywhere close to that, I think his fans should consider that a huge success. What do you think?
I don't know if they will, but I like the way you think. Now, if you're WWE, do you even want to try him more? We tossed around the number of 60 as far as appearances and matches go, to start with. And I don't know if that's exactly what it is or not, but let's just start there and throw that one out there. 5 appearances a month. For me, I think that's a great idea for Daniel Bryan. I don't think I have to have him out there and have him in the title mix or anything like that. I want him in prime stories, and I want him in prime position. And no offense to everybody in Des Moines or in Salisbury, Maryland, or wherever, but he doesn't have to be on every house show to me. I don't know about you, but that's to me, I like that idea.
I agree. I think they should use him exactly like they use Michaels. They have like a million dream matches with this guy because he can still go, and he's still young, and they've got a lot of other guys who can compete at his level. I would like to see all those dream matches, keep him out of the title picture.
Exactly. Tim in Miami, thank you very much for the call. I don't know if everybody else is going to thank you the way you just buried them, but hey, if you want to respond, you're more than welcome to. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. I'm Mike Sempervive. We'll be back after this. Mike Sempervive here with you. I got the message to deliver to all of you. We are here 7 days a week. That's the message. That's what Grandmaster Flash is trying to tell you. Furious 5. Nope. Some people strive for 5. We've been here the whole time. Terrestrial, satellite, internet, 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 and 8 p.m. Eastern. Saturdays, 1 p.m. Mothership show, 6 p.m. Eastern time. I believe that's 0 GMT, right? Until the clocks change again. Go to sportsbyline.com or WrestlingObserver.com for more information on when we're on. Always go to WrestlingObserver.com if you're looking for information in the world of professional wrestling and mixed martial arts. Or if you're looking for Dave Meltzer to interview Okada, your IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. That's up there for subscribers right now. A ton of audio we did last week. We did a ton on this show. Dave Meltzer was on 3 times talking about the Daniel Bryan situation. And if you are not a subscriber to the newsletter, and I'm not big on doing the big push on this show, but now would be a good time. I would start this week, be able to see this week's edition. And obviously, if you just sign up, you not only get a chance to see this week's edition, you get a chance to see everything we have in our archive. But you start right now in this lead into WrestleMania. Big doings. Both Dave and Brian are in Long Beach tonight. Brian Rose is in Long Beach tonight. They'll be posting up stuff on the website. They're going to be doing a Wrestling Observer radio show for subscribers only afterwards. I'm not sure if Brian's going to be doing a show with Vinny long distance. I don't believe he is, but they'll be back on schedule, and I'm sure Brian will be talking about some of the adventures that, well, he doesn't talk about with Dave on that show. So good time to sign up right now, WrestlingObserver.com. It's always a good time to give me a call, too, 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. Get a hold of me on Twitter as well, @SemperVivi. John in Arkansas responding to Tim in Miami. My levels are fine, Tim. I just stumbled upon words. Don't take the bait from Tim in Miami, John. Don't do it. It's what he wants you to do. Don't do it. Paul in Barboursville, on a curious trivia note, the Charleston Civic Center is where John Tenta made his debut at his Earthquake. I'm going to retweet this out there right now. Dino Bravo and Jimmy Hart used the Earthquake to trick the Ultimate Warrior when he was still the Canadian Earthquake. That's how he debuted. It's like Kane the Undertaker. One of those things that is dropped from history. Ryan in Cumberland, Maryland. Are you going to see Courtney and Stormy when they come to Martinsburg, West Virginia? You know what? I might. Probably should. I'm going to be on Courtney's show again. WrestleMania weekend, Between the Cleats. Again, if you're a grown person, go to her Twitter and check that out. I'm going to go back to the phone lines right now. Jim in Virginia. Jim, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
I think I'm making it. What's up?
Tickled me, but was John from Arkansas calling about, was asking about Randy Orton and his smoking?
No, that was Ryan in Cumberland.
Ryan, okay, I'm sorry, Ryan. I kind of doubt that. I mean, you know, talking about the heavy setness. I thought about in the old days, Mid-Atlantic, Johnny Weaver, Rip Hawk, and all those guys. They never had no great deals, but they got in there and they brought it.
What do you think about those guys that passed through, even the ones that smoked their ass off? I mean, for 60 minutes, you would never have believed it. You know what I mean? It didn't really matter. I mean, and Randy Orton's kind of the same way. I'm not saying like he's okay for smoking or anything, but it's not like dude doesn't keep himself in shape. And even at 40, it's not like he's, out of shape or anything like that. But hey, look, the guy's going to make decisions. But Paul White, the Big Show for a long time, a noted smoker. They even used that gimmick on WCW TV for a while, which I remember pissed off my friend Rusty's father, who used to go years, went to the Baltimore Civic Center, one of those guys who went back there in the day, watched WWF, watched Georgia when they would come, all that sort of stuff, was always so pissed off they would let the Giants smoke in the building for Nitro, but then he couldn't. He was very offended by that.
Now, let me ask you a question now. I want you to put your thinking cap on now for this one.
Sure.
Can SmackDown beat Roseanne?
Is that when they re-debuting Roseanne on?
Yeah, it's about 30 years. They've been really pumping it on the cable stations and everything this weekend.
Obviously, the counter-programming SmackDown obviously was the intention on this, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try to watch both. I like both of them. But one other thing, if anybody wants, if you don't want to spoil it, that is turn your volume down and listen to it. I was watching Ring of Honor last night, and Flip Gordon is going to end up teaming with the Young Bucks at the next pay-per-view to take on SoCal Uncensored, I guess, for the six-man titles.
And that's what it would be, I believe, for the six-man tag team championship. But, Jim, I want to thank you very much for the call.
Thank you. All right,
absolutely. They say, well, I'm surprised, SoCal Val is needed to be in SoCal Uncensored. It's like the only missing piece of the puzzle right there. But, yes, flips to beat the band there. Surprisingly, Flip Gordon is not on the show tonight, but Scorpio Sky, Christopher Daniels, and Frankie Kazarian are, as the members of SoCal Uncensored, against Roppongi, 3K, Rocky Romero, Sho, and Yo. And I am so old that I remember way back when the Inoki Dojo, the last time that New Japan Pro Wrestling tried to make a foray with a dojo into the United States. And a couple of guys were there and ended up doing a little bit of something. Now, some of them obviously worked in Hollywood and Los Angeles, too, for Dave Marquez, but there were names like Carl Anderson. There were names like T.J. Perkins, wrestling as Puma. There was the Havana Pitbull, Rocky Romero, which he was in another incarnation. If I'm not mistaken, the head trainer there was Rocky Romero's close personal friend, Chico El Luchador. But they ended up having to fire him because he wouldn't show any of the kids how to take bumps because he figured, why? I don't. Shinsuke Nakamura was there. The American Dragon Daniel Bryan. Some guy named Lyoto Machida was hanging out there for a little while, too, because Inoki was crazy. And he had this idea that wrestlers were shoot fighters and vice versa, which some are, but some aren't. There's a reason they got into the pro res and not into the MMA. That's the opening match tonight. Taguchi Japan against Chaos. It's Juice Robinson and David Finlay against Hiroki Goto and Gato. Toru Yano and Chucky T, the most natural team in the world, against the Killer Elite Squad, Lance Archer and Davey Boy Smith. Certainly a clashing of styles. Chucky T, hopefully okay after losing the PWG Championship to Keith Lee. That was a surprise, I guess, for some people. Lots of questions over Keith Lee, what his status is going to be after WrestleMania or around the time of WrestleMania. A lot of people thought Chuck Taylor would win this. I think the Young Bucks made a joke out of it. So Keith Lee's WWE bound. Of course you're going to win. But as PWG and Ring of Honor and plenty of other places have shown in the past, just because somebody's leaving doesn't necessarily mean you can't do what you want to do there. And it seems to be the case with Keith Lee. We'll have to see going forward here. Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tangaloa. Haku's Kids against the Bullet Club, Cody and Marty Scurll. Not exactly like a huge, match as far as, tipping the balance as far as Tama Tonga and Tangaloa go, but, it is a pretty big one as far as trying to get exposure out there and, making it your, stamping the flag of who you are right in the heart of Los Angeles or right in the heart of Long Beach in America with your performance. And Tama Tonga's good. Tangaloa... But as far as, how impactful of a team and how well they'll be able to get over to an American audience, we'll see. They got a great look, a great gimmick. I like them a lot. But there seems to be something missing, and I just want to see them kind of get over a hump, and hopefully Cody and Marty Scurll can help them do that. It's kind of like Sonata in a way, although it's a different level with Sonata. But it's just like, man, there's just something. It's, same thing kind of with Gorillas of Destiny. So I hope they have a killer match tonight. I really do. Taguchi Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kushida, and Raisuke Taguchi, and Dragon Lee against Los Ingobernables, this is going to be super fun. Naito, Sonata, Bushi, and Hiromu Takahashi. Bodies are going to be flying everywhere. It's going to be awesome. 8-man tag. And again, all this, as well as the main matches, Liger Ospreay, Okada and Ishii against Suzuki and Sabre, Jay White and Hangman Page, Golden Lovers, Young Bucks, all around Access TV live. It's going to be on New Japan World afterwards, at least for those of you listening in North America. It's going to be available on New Japan elsewhere, but it's only on Access here. And there's most of you don't have access. And I don't know if New Japan did the best job in the world driving that point home. That you'd have to, if you're going to watch it on World, it's going to be on delay. And I don't know who's going to be doing. I'm going to assume Kevin Kelly and Cyrus are doing the announcing for New Japan World. It's most certainly Josh Barnett and Jim Ross that's doing the commentary for Access. To be honest, I still, 9 times out of 10, I'll listen to the Japanese announcers. And no offense to Ross and Barnett, but I haven't listened to them really at all, outside of like here and there when it comes to like clips. Because when I do listen to the English feed, it'll end up if I go back and listen to it, it's going to be Cyrus and Kevin Kelly. So I hope, unfortunately, I don't think they'll have it, but it would be nice if they actually had the Japanese commentary. Because again, I don't need, me personally, I don't need the announcers in there. I'm familiar enough with the product, and this is the way I've been doing it for so long anyway, that it's just more natural to me that way. So it doesn't really bother me when it comes to All Japan and DDT introducing their services, like watching those shows, like, cool, I can navigate this, no problem. It's tougher for a lot of other people, especially older fans, and just fans that aren't that tech savvy who have short fuses when it comes to trying to mess with this nonsense. And that's where, of all the promotions, and man, everybody's got a product right now, out there for streaming. Marvelous does, Wave does, DDT, Big Japan, everybody's got one. And that's certainly not a bad thing, but the only people who are really really reaching out to an English speaker is Stardom. And New Japan is to a point, but Stardom much more than New Japan is. And that's something that a lot of these companies going along to, as passionate as your current fans are in your product, to try to reach out there and to try to make some other people more familiar with it, there's going to have to be more incorporation of just not Google Translate, hitting the button is not the answer for everything. And these companies are probably going to have to get more aggressive with it. I mean, Kento Miyahara, I'm not saying he can be as big as Naito or Okada or anybody like that here, but people could probably want to know who he is, and once they see him a few times, get familiar with him. Give people a reason to do that. Let's see going forward. Do a little bit of housekeeping when we get back from the break. You got it half right. Mike Sempervive here with you. My man Raven trying to play me out on Twitter, saying I'm drunk. Havana Pitbull was Ricky Reyes. You're right, it was Ricky Reyes. But the Havana Pitbulls were Ricky Reyes and Rocky Romero. So I'm fine with that, and I'm going to take that as a point for me. And there you go. So there. We can take this up again tomorrow. Because we are here with you 7 days a week. Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Saturdays at 1. Sundays at 6. Sports Byline USA. Couple things just to shove in here on the way out. Just because we kept a lot of Japan today. That DDT show I was talking about. Konosuke Takeshita defeated Shuji Ishikawa for the KO&D Openweight title. Triple Crown changed hands in All Japan. Joe Doring lost the belt to Kento Miyahara. So new champions there. New champions crowned on both of those shows. Kind of up and down it. We have some new inductees announced for the WWE Hall of Fame. Paul Heyman will be introducing Goldberg. Molly Holly will be introducing... Brainlock. Now, who was she introduced? She was introducing Ivory, I'm sorry. And Edge and Christian will be introducing the Dudley Boys. So WWE's got yet to confirm on who's going to be doing speeches for Jeff Jarrett, Hillbilly Jim, Kid Rock, and Mark Henry. Hillbilly Jim has said he wants Hulk Hogan. That is not going to be happening. Mark Henry, an obvious one for me could be Teddy Long. Who's in WWE's good graces. He could be possible there, so you never know. Brock Lesnar's been added to WWE's house show in Boston on March 30th, defending the Universal title against Braun Strowman and Kane. A bunch of other stuff going on as well, too, including all of the news and information you're going to want out of this New Japan show. Strong Style Evolved. Wrestling Observer Radio, Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer. After that show takes place, go over there, check that out. And as always, check us out tomorrow. I'm Mike Sempervive here with you. I want to thank producer Scott and everybody. Talk to you again after a while.
Sirius XM Sports, the leader in sports play-by-play.